on the quiz, there's no mystery. It's located right in the back of my book. I'm going to turn to page 57 and take a look at quiz 2. You are allowed to study from this quiz. You are allowed to practice, but you may not write any notes on the physical test or quiz. You could write notes on a different piece of paper, or you can quiz yourself aloud. Let's go ahead and take a look at expectations, but I want to start with the hardest part first, and the hardest part would be diagramming. So let's take a look at some of the example sentences. It says, the tiny bird quickly ducked behind the waterfall. I'm going to make a sentence very similar to that. The big dog slowly crawled up a mountain. Okay, so first I'm going to identify the subject. What or who is the sentence about? If you found dog as a subject noun, you are correct. Dog. What did the dog do? I'm looking for my verb. Crawled. Crawled is my verb. If I have an action verb like crawled, I'm going to ask what? Crawled what? Crawled who? If I can't answer that, I know I don't have a direct object. It's an intransitive verb. Okay, but now I could ask the question, what kind of dog? The dog. Big dog. Here's my adjectives that modify dog. How did it crawl? Slowly. Here's my adverb that modifies crawled. Where did it crawl? Up a mountain. Here's my prepositional adverbial phrase. Up is my preposition. Mountain is the object of my preposition. And All right, let's take a look at sentence number 24 on the quiz. It says, God sent many prophets to his people. I'm going to go ahead and switch it out a little bit. I gave some candies to my students. What or who is this sentence about? You said I, you found the subject pronoun. It replaces the noun. I did what? I gave. Here's my verb. Gave is an action. So I always ask myself the question, what? Who? I gave what? I gave candies. Candies. Here's my direct object. Let's not forget that. What kind of candies or how many candies? Some candies. Here's my adjectives that modifies candies. To whom did I give my candies to? So to my students is to whom I gave it to. So I have to hang it off of gave. To students and my. I've got my indirect object right here. All right, let's take a look at 25. It says, God made a beautiful pink sunset yesterday. All right, I'm going to change it slightly so we get to practice. Mom baked a green gooey cake today. I don't know if that's how I spell gooey. I think I might add an extra O in there. All right, I need my subject. What or who is my sentence about? Mom is correct. What did she do? Where's my verb? Baked. What did she bake? A cake. Here's my direct object because I could answer the question what with my verb. What kind of cake? A cake. Green cake. Gooey cake. When did she bake the cake? Today. Today modifies when she baked. That's why it's an adverb and that's why it goes underneath baked. I hope that was really, really helpful. These are very, very similar to the structures and the types of sentences you will see. So I want you to be able to do that. All right. I think I remember where to review now when it comes to paintings and things like that. That was actually back in our first section, I think. All right, so this is one of those rare situations where we actually got a little bit ahead in our schedule. So you're going to see on Friday to do lesson 9, but we've already done that in class. And so you just get a nice easy break. But what I would suggest for you to do is to go back, look through all of your previous lessons and see if there's anything that you left blank that you want to look through and puzzle through and try your very best to make sure that you know how to do it all and know how to do it all independently. Lesson 10 that we're going to be doing for Monday is a review. So let's take a look at what page was that? I have here page 33 and 34, going through the checklist to make sure that you know exactly where that review is, to know where those skills are. Then we're going to take a preview of what to expect on quiz 2. So it says, can you identify verbs and verb phrases in a sentence? My one bit of caution that I need to say, because I've seen this mistake across the board, is that you're good at identifying action verbs. You could really see words like throw and eat and fly, but you have a harder time seeing the helping verbs. Can throw, is eating, will fly. So don't forget your whole verb phrase. Don't forget your helping verbs. Another thing that kind of can be tricky is when you have sentences that end in a question mark, those interrogative sentences. So let's see. Can it fly is an interrogative statement or question right there, sentence. And I could identify the verb as fly, but a lot of times you guys will miss the whole verb phrase, can fly, because it's split up. So don't forget, if you were to diagram it, it needs to be like this. It can fly. And don't forget, here's your verb, but here's your helping verb. So your action verb and your helping verb. You really need to be able to identify your verbs. Another thing that you need to be looking for is, can you tell the difference between an action and being verb? Well, that being verb is where, remember, Mrs. Rose drew that really weird monster that the whole class had input on creating. And then we used the state of being a monster words. So I am a monster, I was a monster, she is a monster, they were monsters. So there's a whole list of state of being verbs, and it's just good to have them memorized, but also to think state of being a monster. Oh, I see the verb now, because state of being verbs are hard to see. We can't see those actions. So let's just go through and memorize our state of being verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, and been. So if I were to come up with that whole state of being what? A monster. Let's just put the monster over here. And of course you could envision that monster. What would it be for that state of being verb? I am a monster. She is a monster. They are monsters. I was a monster. They were monsters. He will be a monster. She is being a monster. He has been a monster. And so if I think of state of being what? A monster. I could go through this and identify them. So let's just memorize them. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. One more time. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. All right. So don't forget to be able to distinguish the difference between action verbs and state of being verbs. It wants us to know the difference or what an adverb is and what question it answers. So if I were to have a sentence like this, I ate. I ate how? How is one of our questions. I ate slowly. I ate quickly. I ate ravenously. I ate sloppily. Those are adverbs. They answer the question how. When? Suddenly I ate. Today I ate. I ate today. I ate yesterday. So don't forget if I have a word like today. It is an adverb. It answers the question when. Where? Here is where we want to come up sometimes with our prepositional phrases, but let's see. I ate in the kitchen. So that's a whole adverbial prepositional phrase. But if I could answer the question where, it is an adverb question. All right, our next question is, can you identify and diagram adverbs in a sentence? We'll have some practice in a little bit. Capitalization rules, don't forget, keep reviewing, these don't go away. Can you define what a direct object is and tell what question it answers? Let's go ahead and define a direct object. If I could answer the question what, then I've got a direct object when it comes to an action verb. I ate what? Okay, I ate bacon. So bacon is my direct object. It answers the question what or who. Luckily, I'm not answering the question who. Yikes, that would be not so good. I ate what? I ate who? That's my direct object question. So what is a direct object? A direct object is always a noun that receives the action of the verb. I'll say it again. A direct object is a noun that receives the action of the verb. And it answers the question what? It answers the question who? So right here, this is how I diagram it. I make sure that line is standing straight up, that it does not go all the way down. So don't forget how to diagram my direct objects. The other thing it wants us to review is writing the names of paintings, sculptures, trains, ships, and aircrafts. Let's review that in a moment, and we don't have to worry about the spelling test because we've done that. So let's go ahead and look back in our notes that talk about writing the names of paintings, sculptures, trains, ships, and aircrafts because I don't want to find it in my notes, and so I had to look at this up online. It says add underline where needed, and so one of the things I just wanted to review is any title of any book or magazine or newspaper needs to be capitalized and underlined. So let's review what needs to be underlined. Titles of books, magazines, and newspapers. We also need to put in quotation marks and capitalize as well poems, songs, chapters, stories. But let's just focus on the underlining. We need to underline titles of books, magazines, and newspapers. That's if we're handwriting it. If we weren't handwriting it, we wouldn't need to underline it. It would be italicized. But for the purpose of if we were handwriting it, we'd underline it. Those are things that also need to be underlined. If it were typed, it could be italicized, and so you would want to highlight and press the italics key if you were typing it. But for our sake, let's just think of more things to underline. You'd have to underline the titles of paintings. For example, Starry, Starry Night, like by Van Gogh. Sculptures, David, by Michelangelo. Trains. I don't know the names of any trains. Ships, like the Titanic. And aircrafts. Again, I don't know any names of aircrafts. I don't know. The Red Baron. I don't know. I think that's the name of the pilot, not the ship. But the key is underline it. If you're typing it, italicize. For the sake of our exercises, think underlining the names of any of those things. All right. Good luck. I think you could do this. Bye.